It seems obvious right now that New World is built on spaghetti. Now, what I mean by that is spaghetti coding. It's something that basically means that the game isn't coded very well. And whilst I'm no programmer, looking at the latest handful of bugs that have sprung from the latest patch, I think it's hard to conclude anything other than it's spaghetti coding. Now, obviously, I am a big fan of the game. I really enjoy it. I literally have spent hundreds of hours since this game has come out. I really think the game is good, foundationally at least, but the coding behind the scenes may not be that good. I'm not going to sit here and go through every issue that has come from the latest patch, but you know, if you just look at it holistically, you can see that there have been problems. Now, while there are big features like Outpost Rush, which I can point at and be like, maybe that's spaghetti coding, because Outpost Rush, for those of you who don't know, it was enabled when the game came out, then it was disabled, then it was re-enabled, then it was disabled, then it's been re-enabled, but there are still some bugs relating to it. But those are sort of like, okay, those are big game features. They don't really like question why, it's just that, okay, they're broken, they need fixing. But the big one that came from this patch was the trading post bug, where basically if you sold something whilst you were offline, you never got the gold. Now they have, I believe, now fixed that, and you will get the gold that you would have missed, so no real losses. But those kind of issues just leave the question like, how and why does that happen? And it goes beyond that. Like, we had an issue with healing where like spamming crouch if you were in an AoE basically re-triggered the healing, so you would heal much quicker, and that was getting abused in wars and stuff like that. And it's like, well, I sort of understand that because they were trying to fix the healing AoE and make it a little bit less laggy, I guess. But how does it work that crouching makes it so that you heal more? Like, the obvious answer is spaghetti coding, and it's really hard to see anything other than that. And just stupid things like they're trying to give everybody like basically a stimulus check if you bought a house thinking that your weekly tax would be lower. They're trying to give everybody 2k gold. Well, the message that pops on screen, it looks like some sort of weird error message. Why is it not just a clear message, hey, we gave you 2k gold? Why? There are other issues like player housing items disappearing, players not being able to transfer server even though that they don't have any active pulse, even though it says that they do. Some players are spawning dead, if that's even possible or a thing. How can you spawn dead? There's a classic exploit which I don't know too much about, but apparently you can stack some like food bus, which makes you like essentially invincible. You just heal a lot. There's the Great Axe charge bug, which was fixed and then it seems to have come back with the Bloodlust pact. I've not actually tried it myself, but you basically zoom like your Sonic just when you use your axe charge. Like, the list is quite long. Now, why am I even talking about what am I even talking about? Yes, there are issues and yeah, they're fixing them, but it's not so much that they're unable to fix some of the issues that exist in game, right? Like, I don't think that's necessarily a core indication of any kind of problem. The problem here is that they're fixing one thing, and as they fix that, something else breaks, and they're having difficulty finding this right balance. And as I said, it's sort of because this coding here, which is impacting this coding, which doesn't necessarily even make sense, seems to be the core problem. Now, quite frankly, I think this leads itself to say that because New World is like Amazon's first big proper game and its first MMO, of course, that they are having some coding difficulties, possibly due to inexperience. The core problem is just how the game is coded. It doesn't seem like the game is coded particularly well, and I don't say that lightly, but it's hard at this point to say anything other than that. I think the sort of the design of the game, like the combat and stuff like that, is coded well, but you've got things like perks not really doing what they should be, and all kinds of weird stuff, like metrics not functioning the way that the tooltips and stuff like that say. I think it's basically essentially broken. And people always memed on like Blizzard and World of Warcraft saying that we were paid beta testers. Like, we are literally beta testing this game, sure. They have not tested enough all of this mechanics, and even if they did, a lot of people were saying that they had a lot of feedback in the betas and then they've not been resolved. It's a shame. It's a strong shame, because the game is fantastic in many ways. It would be hard for me to sit here and say we are having a fluid, well-built game experience, because most people are not. And that's just how the game is built in like actual coding, right? I don't know too much about it. I'm not a coder. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Amazon could be like, no, Jay, you're an idiot. The game is actually coded flawlessly. I mean, that would be a bit of a stretch to me at this point. But for me, there are also some design issues, which we actually can't really get to the point to talk about, because these little bugs are just like ruining people's days, basically. Like, I think that the end game gear trade, stupid. I think that like the gear score grind, a little bit awkward really in a lot of ways. I could probably go on there, but I won't necessarily. I just made a video talking about tax. I think the tax is a little bit stupid and like not a fun mechanic. But we're not really going to get to those conversations until the game works. Now, I'm sorry to come across a little bit negative in this video. It's hard not to be a little bit negative at the minute because if you're playing the game, you can see it. You know, you're aware of the issues. You know people are exploiting in wars and stuff like that. And it's really sort of ruining the fun of the game quite significantly. It is what it is, as they say. And that's the end of this video. Like and subscribe. Have a beautiful day. Goodbye.